Hello, everybody. Welcome to this workshop on achieving elemental balance with astrology. My name is Jasmina from Jasmina Brozovic Astrology. I'm a modern intuitive astrologer coming from the school of Steve Judd, but I have also learning under Frank Clifford in his LSA, London School of Astrology, and I have been learning Uranian astrology with Uranian Met. I finished that course and many other things that I'm doing as a true Gemini. So for everybody who would like to know my big three, I'm a Gemini Sun, Gemini Moon, and Virgo Rising, very mercurial. And I love learning, teaching, working with clients. I love astrology, helping people with this magic tool. So today this is a very basic, but I think it's very important that we kind of always go back to basics and understand the basic astrology. It always helps to kind of go back and revisit, revise what we know, and maybe just fill up the gaps. So this workshop is for everybody. You don't need to have any prior knowledge or anything. You don't have to know anything about astrology. It would be good that you know your chart, and I'll show you why. So let's dive in a deeper thing. Okay. So the overall balance of elements and modes in astrology talks about our emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. This is who we are. It's our personality, our temperament. So the water placements in our chart are our emotional part of ourselves. Fire is spiritual. It's that spirit that lifts us up, the motivation that keeps us going. Then we have air. This is our mental capacity, the way we think, the way we process information, the way we communicate those informations, and how we communicate it in general. And physical, that's earth. It's how we ground ourselves. It's just our physical needs overall. It also comes with need for food and shelter. Very, very basic, but this is what it is. So we need to kind of satisfy all parts of ourselves. And sometimes in our charts, it's shown that we have more strength in one element, and then we have weakness in the other. Not a true weakness, but maybe just a lack of something. So today's workshop should help us all to kind of find a balance and see what we are having maybe excess of or lacking, and how can we balance it all out. So that's the whole reason why I'm here today. Okay, let's go forward. So this is something basics for everybody who doesn't know anything about astrology. We will talk about the planets and their placements. So these are the planets I work with. Because I'm a modern astrologer, I work with all planets, not just the traditional seven. And for astrology purposes, we call sun and moon planets, although they're just luminaries, they're not true planets. But just for terminologically easier communication within our astrology groups, we call them planets. And then we have Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and then other planets. There are newly discovered planets in the last couple of centuries: Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. And I work with Chiron as well. I find it very important in our lives. And therefore, we have, as I mentioned, 4 elements: fire, air, water, earth. And all 12 signs of zodiac have some characteristic. Also, we apply modalities: cardinal, fixed, and mutable. I will explain that further in the presentation, but this is good as a reminder to understand if you have a lot of Aries placements or a lot of Pisces placements, what does that mean for you? That means that maybe a lot of Aries, a lot of cardinal fire energy, and if it's a lot of Pisces, then maybe a lot of mutable water energy. So this is something that is good to have a reminder to understand your chart. Many people will ask, oh, how do I know which element is dominant in my chart, or which element am I lacking, or what is happening? So there are many systems of calculating. This is the one I use, and I find it very good. You will find in different teachings of astrology different ways of calculating, but I find that the big three, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, are the most important ones in our chart, and I give them 3 points. Personal planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, 2 points. I sound like I'm on Eurovision, giving points for songs. Jupiter, Saturn are generational planets, but they're also very significant. And MC, which is our midheaven, tells us about a career and vocation, 1 point. And then for outer planets and for Chiron, half a point. So total of 20 points. So when you look at your chart, now that you have this calculator, and you can see which planet is in which mode and which element, and you can give them points based on that, for modes and for element. And then you can combine and see how many you have of this or that. I, for example, have a lot of mutable air, and I'm kind of lacking a little bit of earth. So it's a way for me to, when you do this calculation, you can see it for yourself. So do this for all the planets in your chart that are mentioned here. If you don't have your chart, you can always contact me, but there is many free websites out there. You can find your chart. You need your time, date, and place of birth. Astro.com or AstroSeek are most popular ones. Okay. Where does all this come from? So, as we know, astrology is an ancient art, magical practice. So even in ancient Greece, they were kind of looking at the earth around them, the earth where they lived, and what is happening around, and they kind of made some sense that universe is made of 4 basic elements: fire, earth, air, and water. And as I mentioned before, they show us, how our essential motivations, our temperament, our personality, how we kind of blend with the environment that we live in, how we react to it, how are we part of this nature cycle. So that's basically what it is. So Aristotle, he used this 4-element graph that he did, and then he said that 2 elements together are making something interesting. For example, air and fire is hot, so like hot air. Fire and earth is dry when they combine together, right? It's like a desert. Water, earth is cold, and water, air is wet. So if you have a combination, because sometimes we have like 2 main elements, or maybe 2 main modalities in our charts, then you can see if you're more hot, dry, cold, or a wet person, which goes back to if you heard of 4 temperaments back in the day from him. Sanguinic, I don't know if you want to say this in English properly, but there's a sanguinic, choleric, phlegmatic, and melancholic. So this is based on this, literally. Sanguines are more hot, they have lots of fire and air. Cholerics can be earth and fire, more dry. And then I hope I'm doing it right. I'm not sure, but in that sense, melancholics are wet, air and water, and phlegmatics are cold, earth and water. So in general. So what is the purpose of all this? As I mentioned, it's very important that we balance each other out, that we balance our lives, because we can go in one way so harsh, and then we kind of don't feel good physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually if you're not in balance. We always try to seek this balance in life. So the way to do it is probably to use the strongest element in the best possible way, and to find a way to make up, for the lack of the weakest one. Okay, so we'll see how we can do this in this presentation. Also want to mention for the polarities, I know that terminology masculine and feminine is outdated, but for astrological purposes, I don't I don't know better way to use this. So air and fire are called masculine energy because it's more assertive, more projecting, more extroverted. It's like more active and more seen in an outer world. With water and earth, it's more introverted, receptive energy. That's why we call it feminine. It's more of inwarded in inside kind of energy that is within us, right? That we're more receiving, we are more calm, right? We are not as aggressive or active as masculine energy. So air and fire. So if you have more of air and fire, probably more extroverted person, or if you have more water and earth, you're probably more introverted. It doesn't have to be, so don't take my word for it. There's always here and there. And you will see to this presentation that some of you may already feel what you're lacking and you kind of seek for it because you kind of need it, or when you and some of you that have a lot of some energy, you will kind of know that you have a lot of this one, and then you kind of try to balance it out. So we already, especially people who practice some spiritual practices, they're already kind of finding the way to balance it out. So it's just maybe a summary of this, so maybe a reminder what else you can do. Okay, so for fire, what is fire? Um, it's fun, outgoing, active, confident, stimulating, impulsive, positive, explosive energy, fast. It's about our vitality, immune system, our sexual energy, joy, enthusiasm, creativity, motivation, playfulness. It's vision, ideals, very open. It's literally it's what it's a spark in us that drives us to do things in life. Why do we even get up in the morning from the bed? That's literally what fire does. You need some kind of motivation to get out and do your purpose. So those people who have a lot of fire, they're usually they seem very confident. They want to do they're doing lots of things. They're good motivators for others. Um, and they usually have very active, like sports people who do sports and stuff like that. They usually have a lot of fire. So we can see people who have balanced fire, who know how to balance it. They like have strong physical energy. Their immune system is good. They're very vital. They have confidence and courage and optimism and motivation. And they can really manifest their ideas and the spirit into something, uh, you know, uh, charismatic, something that we can trust, something more, So if it's in a good way. People who have why is this? I don't know how to. Excellent. Fire dominant people, as I mentioned before, very active, strong immunity. They have high sexual drive. They are prone to inflammations, and you can see them with. Sometimes these people have red faces. Literally, you can see the physical things, especially if they have a rising sign that is fire, right? They can be impatient and restless, having some anger issues. Uh, they're very, they're go-getters. They like to start new things. They're pioneers. They're not afraid to be the first one to say, I'll do it. But then they start many things, but they don't finish any of them. It's one of those, they're like motivating others to do, actually. So they are the spirit for many of other people who don't have that, so they're kind of having excess of motivation and energy and enthusiasm. They can spread it around that in a positive way. So they need some water to cool down, right? They need to take cooling foods, and they need to be in a cooler environment to balance their energy, because they are usually the ones that have lots of burnouts, because they're doing so many things, multitasking. They're very active, doing 3 sports at the same time, doing many, many things, and then if they don't balance it, it's a burnout. On the other hand, individuals who are lacking fire, they really need to take care of their immune system. they are, they sometimes feel that they are not motivated or that they don't have inspiration or confidence uh, to do things. They feel they're out of touch with themselves, with their spirit and what their path is. Um, and also with their body and material world. So they're like, they can be just, confused or not certain in what is their purpose in life and even, what is happening. They have sometimes difficulty in initiating things, so they need somebody else to kind of poke them and say, "Oh, go ahead, do it." They need that extra push and support to start things. They're often shy and they have low energy and sexual drive. So now, how can we balance this out? Uh, Even if you have a lot of fire or are lacking, let's see how we can, manage this. It's very good to ground yourself and follow a routine. So it's bringing a little bit of earth here, just because we want to finish things that we start, right? So routine helps us with finishing, with grounding, and it gives us focus that fire can sometimes lack. Cooking, that's a very good creative way to do it because fire is very creative. People, because of fire, they're very creative. So cooking is one way, it's a great creative way for fire people to express their fire element. Eat preferably on open fire, like barbecue or how we call those bonfires, that's that sort of thing. Um, so they can do exercise, sports, as I mentioned, physical activity is very important to release, especially if they're angry. It's very good to have physical activity, lighting candles, being so these are so this is when you also are lacking, yeah, when you're lacking the fire, right? So having candles around, it's very important. Like being exposed to fire, fireplaces, bonfires, eating spicy and warm food, right? So like a spicy curry or foods like that can really, really lift you up a little bit, lift your spirits. Do something creative, be playful, flirt. Okay, just I know it can be hard for people who like fire, but do a little one step at a time. Go on adventures, do something new and exciting you never did. That's very important. Be outdoors, do creative and meaningful things, and surround yourself with red, orange, and pink. I find that it's very helpful when you like one of the elements to surround yourself with the colors of that element. It's the fastest way to get yourself going. And you will see that, when you talk to people, when you ask them what's their favorite color, just by them telling you what's their favorite color, you can understand what kind of temperament they are, because people who say red or orange, they're probably people who have a lot of fire in them. It's just something that we are prone to, like people with a lot of water are prone to blues and greens. So think about it. It's very interesting. A way of understanding. So do something opposite. Like it's all about getting outside of our comfort zones and trying to, step by step. I'm not suggesting that you paint your whole house in red or have all these uh, bright colors around you, but do one pillow or one shirt or something like that, right? Or just buy yourself a red lipstick and stuff like that. So that's very kind of um, step at a time, small steps. Okay, Earth. Just take a sip of my tea. For Earth, the characteristics of Earth, they're very grounded. They're all about their body and sensuality, feeling of secure. It's material security is very important. Feeling safe in their bodies, having abundance, preservance. Oh, they are very stability and durability are one of their fortes. They don't like changes a lot. They like to have persistence and groundness and just be they're very responsible. They're practical and they're really the ones who can deal with reality and just material things and things around us. So people who have balanced earth, they have strong endurance. They can go, long, doing the same thing for a long, long time. They have this ability um, and discipline. They're stable, dependable. You can always depend on them. Very constructive, productive, realistic. They're excellent with dealing with things in the material world, with tangibles. Um, Yes, and living naturally in accordance with life limitations, if they're balanced, right? So they understand this is how much I have. What can I do with these resources, kind of a thing, and they can manage. That's why they're good at managing money as well, um, and understanding the worth and value of things around them. Earth dominant are very calm, peaceful, but they can feel sluggish, lethargic, and stagnant. So they really, really don't like change, and they don't like moving a lot, even physically. They don't like moving their bodies a lot. They are there for long-term jobs, for the long-term relationships. Um, that's why they're very dependable because they're here for the long runs. Because they don't like to move much, they can win a lot of gates. They also can, because of that, be a lot of melancholic. Yeah, they radiate secure, comfortable energy. Like this is a person, that's one of those friends you can always count on, kind of a feeling, right? They're very fertile, abundant, and sensual as well because they live with all five tangible senses. Okay. People who are lacking earth, they, um, they need to try to look for security and for long-term establishment. So they can get attached to people and places that make them feel secure because they are not like that. They sometimes have issues and difficulties in making realistic decisions. They're lacking boundaries often. They're not tuned with their physical body. They're lacking vision and ungrounded nature. They have this ungrounded nature. They're just out there. They're not here. You kind of, you will see people who are lacking earth that they're always in their mind or in some other worlds, but they're kind of, you would say, oh, he's not from here, he doesn't know how to live in a real world, like kind of a sense, like always wandering around. So how to balance this lack of earth? Um, get ideals, play, and do magic uh, with the tangible things, especially. Try to raise self-awareness. Spend time in nature. Nature is one of the best ways to balance the lack of earth, and it's the cheapest. You just go outside. You can take care of plants if you have a garden. Cooking is also one way. But cook some meals that take long time to cook, like make a stew or make something that takes a long time and a lot of prep, a lot of cutting, so you can feel all this food. And it's not you need time to make food. I think that kind of cooking is very good for people who are lacking earth. They need to learn how to listen to their bodies, get in tune with their senses. Regular routine and daily rituals really, really help them because it grounds them. I would suggest walking barefoot on the ground and hugging trees. I know it sounds funny, but it's really, really helpful, really. Um, and surround yourself with earth colors, which are green and brown. Okay, so as I mentioned, the best way is just to get some clothing or just pillows or blankets that are those colors. So they, or even a picture or having plants around, just have one more plant in your place to take care of, right? So um, it's about eating stews, soups, green and root vegetables because it grounds you as well. So make sure you have intake of that a lot. And as I mentioned, doing activities with using all five senses. So everything, something with your hands, like you can do a pottery class or um, some art. You can do some art or whatever, that makes you feel. Cooking is good because you can taste food as well. Okay, now we have air. So for air is all about the mind, right? They're very intelligent, communicators. They're great at teaching. They love to learn. They have great social skills, connecting things and people. They enjoy movement. They're always on the move. Multitaskers. They have these practical skills, ability to deal with reality, but they use it like in an idea forms more than in manifesting it. They're very logical, ideas oriented, analytical, and curious. Balanced air. So people who have this kind of air in control of their minds, they have clear thoughts and good communication skills, which is very important to present what you want to say in a right way or what you're thinking. So you're not all over the place. Um, Graceful movements and balanced physical body. So they can be very good dancers or just, have this uh, having doing sports that makes them move their body in a very graceful way. They can be very reasonable, objective, fair, and tolerant, cooperative, and aware of alternatives. Okay, so if it's balanced, it's very good for any type of work that involves that they need social skills or communicating with others or um, anything like sales or negotiation or even being a therapist. I think balanced air is very good at that. If you're an air dominant person, you are intelligent and intellectual. You're a self-learner. You're always learning something. Your brain is never stopping. You're always doing something. You can be philosophical, logical, also understanding different points of view. But there's this restlessness, this nervous energy, this lack of um, of having clarity with your thoughts and ideas and how you communicate things. They can forget to be in their body. So fast movements, fast thoughts, fast body. So moving fast, and then you have accidents because you can just you're not controlling. Like their mind and their body can be uncontrollable in a sense. They can be detached and impersonal, and which can be good in many situations when that is necessary. People who are lacking air, they can be fixed-minded, illogical. They don't think things through carefully. Um, Jump to conclusions as well. I find that very often. Also, they can feel distant, disconnected, cold, abstract, like not be able to express themselves clearly, out of touch with feelings, introverted, slow movements, tiredness, like they just that they imagine think about a cat who doesn't want to move, it just lays on a sofa all day long. That's kind of what I feel when people like air, just they just you know and even their brain can feel slow because they're not training it, they're not putting their brain into action, let's say. So um yeah, it's lack of air. So how to balance lack of air? uh I would always suggest that you learn something. I'm an air dominant person, so I'm biased, but it's very good to learn all through life, through experiences from other people, from books, from video, from audio, workshops, courses, languages. It's very good because when you have the knowledge of multiple languages, it just makes your brain connect dots and just keeps your brain active. Yeah, connecting with different types of people to understand other points of view, because as I mentioned, they can be lack of air can be really like fixed minded and just not seeing what other people are saying. So teaching is the best way to express yourself, because you have a feel that you need to um, what you know to give to somebody else, so you can use your air element in that way. Read, get involved with soul feeling situation, breathing exercise, meditation, and yoga. They can help you a lot, because that air goes through your body, and then you can feel it going through your body. So your mind and body are connected. And then it's interesting how air is also green, but it's and blue, but also purple color. Eating stews, soups, nuts, and root vegetables. socializing, dancing, working in groups. That will keep your social life, don't, you need some kind of a group to express that connection and communication that air signs usually have. And at the end, we have water. Water is all about our nurturing our emotional life, how we nurture ourselves, how we are emotional. Water signs are usually emotionally intelligent, intuitive, empathetic, spiritual, very sensitive, very perceptive. They find the subtlety, see subtle, suspicious, responsive, imaginative. People with a lot of water, they go beyond this world. They're sensing uh, uh, other realms for sure. um, they're very caring for others. They're very for not just for individuals but for society, the collective. They're healers, very private people, usually very sympathetic. A balanced water person is very emotionally intelligent. Um, they know how to emotionally connect with others, understand others, and express that in a way, how to express their emotions very well. They have strong intuition, and it's manifest like that, and they're in touch with their gut instincts. Uh, they're very compassionate, they're nurturing and caring, and they have a great capacity for intimacy. Those are the people, those friends that we meet that we feel like we are at home. Like they one of those that feel like, oh, like somebody who is there for you to support you when you are feeling low, without any explanation, without judgment, without feeling that you have to explain yourself. It's nice to have people with lots of water in your life. Water dominant, they can be very controlling over their emotions. They want to be in control with their emotions. So they're not actually in tune with them if they're going in a wrong way. They are very intuitive and nurturing, as I mentioned, sensitive, dreamy. The best healers and caretakers have a lot of water, but they can have low energy because they use their selves so much with interacting with others that it's like others interacting with others um, sucks all the energy. So they need to sleep more, and they're prone to emotional eating as well. Um, they have desire to withdraw, escape from the present, like they need it to recharge their batteries, as I say. So they really need it as well. They can feel insecure and unreasonable, and they can lack boundaries, especially because they want to care for others and help others, and then they don't take care of themselves. Um, People who like water, it's interesting, but they can often just break down and cry because they don't understand. Uh, like they're not in tune with their emotions, so they can just cry for no reason, not without understanding or feeling, being in touch with what it is. Um, they can think they're lacking emotions. They seem rigid. They have sleep problems because they just cannot be with themselves because they don't know what to do with in that sense, that they don't know how to deal with emotional outbursts. Um, they might lack understanding of empathy for other emotions, and this comes because they don't understand themselves. You always come from yourself, to help others, and they can have difficulty in emotional expression because they're not in tune with them. So it can be very hard. So how to balance this lack of water? Uh, Also, as I said, for lack of earth, to go and be in nature. For lack of water, be in touch with water. This is the cheapest way and the fastest way to kind of get in tune with yourself and with your watery side of yourself, emotional side. So frequent showers, baths, swimming, drinking a lot of water, just being by the water. If you can go and walk by the tree, sea, lake, whatever you have, just a little stream, it's good. Um, uh, to to learn how to express emotions and feelings. Also, cook is very good. Take care of somebody, take care of the plant, or have a pet. It's good to cry because they usually want to control emotions, so it's good to let it go, and just usually in the shower is the easiest way to just cry and let it flow. to practice containment and rationality. Also green and blues for like a water, and just do something creative, something artistic. As I mentioned, being near the water is always good. Anything, any water you have. Usually people have two combinations that are very dominant. So it's usually the case. It doesn't have to be. Some people are very one element dominant or one element lacking, but usually we have two combinations. So I put some together so for you to see. Earth and fire. Uh, so think about grounding, practical, and spirit. So isn't that amazing? They're very dominant, assertive, determined. They're usually managers. They're realizing their goals. They work a lot. So these people are actually very good for starting and finishing a project, having a motivation to do it and to see it through, and to manage others. Because they can show others by example how to do it and motivate them. Earth and air, it's all about knowledge, education, science. So it can also be practical, but it needs to be something innovative, something that you can use your ideas and see patterns. So usually these people are in the science field, or they like to teach or do something like that. Earth and water, this is the most fertile combination. This is literally, when you have plant in earth and you water it, it grows, right? From one seed, it grows, the fruit grows, or whatever it is. So they're very production oriented people, very fertile, nurturing, because it takes time, right? They understand also that it takes time to nurture before it blooms. Um, they're good with trade, success oriented, and they have good social relations as well. Air and water. This is it's interesting. It's science, math, art, intellectual, sense of humor. This is very interesting combination. It's having your emotions and mind on the same kind of a level. So you can use it any way you like, to be honest. This combination is, as long as um, you use it well, it can be good for lots of things. Air and fire, those are usually the leaders, um, very active, sports people, motivators. Um, those are the ones you can actually see. Lots of actors, like lots of people who have air and fire. You can actually see them in the world because they are out there and they are just doing things and showing us how to do it. Water and fire. It's very strange because water can put fire out, right? So, but if it's balanced, then you still have the spirit running with with empathy. So they can be very intuitive, because fire people are also the spirit intuition. They have they have this sense of what they want to do, and intuition, when you put it together, very good. But they can also be very emotionally impulsive and do things based on their emotions, just do without thinking, based on how they feel. And they're very good at intuitive decision making. This is just a few things as a tips for if you have some dominant element, what you need to avoid to eat and what you should eat more. I would highly recommend that you look into more medical astrology. There are some medical astrologers who do this in more depth. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. So people who have a lot of fire, they should avoid spices and heating foods as they aggravate. So they are already full of fire themselves, and this is just they can have those uh, cold burns in the stomach. How do you call them when you have those things when you should avoid it because you have fire already. So they need to eat more cool veggies and fruits to calm their kind of heat, something that is going to put their heat a little bit down. Earth, they need to avoid because they have sometimes issues with digestion. So they should eat light, slightly cooked meals that are easy to digest. So all everything that they eat they need to think how will are they going to be able to digest it easily. That's for Earth. Yeah, it's very it can compromise digestion if they have some hard foods. Water, they need some more cooked foods because they need yeah, so they're in need of heating. So they can also have spicy food, I would suggest, and warm, spicy warm um, food. And for them, put down the sugar. I read that somewhere and I put it here. I thought it was really good. So the water dominance, is emotional eaters. They can have a lot of sugar intake, so they need to be watch out for that. Um, for air, they need to do also grounding foods. I would suggest root vegetables, just because it's ground them, and it's something cooling. Okay, yeah, because they're also hot. So something that cools them down, similar like fire. For the physical activity, so that's the diet. For the physical activity, fire, competitive sports, fast and adventurous activities. So think about, bungee jumping or doing something crazy. Uh, yeah, they like competition. Fire people like competition, and it needs to be fast, like running or just doing sports. All kinds of sports that we watch on TV. That's basically what it is. Earth, they should do some physical training and weights, something that develops their endurance and strength, physical labor, gardening. So this is more their physical activities, all about gaining muscle, and it's not about those um, cardio exercise. Cardio is more for fire. This is more for building muscle. Air is definitely for team sports, for dancing, sports with strategy and mental quickness, social sports like double, tennis, or squash, or there's a bunch of stuff they need to think when they do something. So physical activity needs to involve some kind of thinking. Dancing is number one for me because you need to kind of count steps. That's what I like when I went dancing. Water, definitely something with water. So swimming, also skating and skiing, um, dancing, things that are fluid. So they need to be kind of go with the flow. So think about what physical activity makes you like yoga is also here, and I forgot to put it in, but stuff like that. They can just go with the flow, literally. This is the first part was elements. Now we're going to go to the second part. It's modes or modalities. Um, so modes describe the ways in which the elements express themselves. Uh, it's our typical way of operating. Okay, so there are cardinals, fixed, and mutables. Um, I'm going to talk about it in details here. So cardinals, they're the starters of the season. So those are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorns. Um, because the way we do astrology in Northern Hemisphere, especially, and in Western astrology, we do it by seasons. So each season starts with this sign. We call them cardinal signs because they are leading, they are initiating new projects, they are first to do something. They have desire to have the new things first. They want to be original. They can be impatient. They can be also aggressive, energetic, out there in the world. They're not afraid to be first. They're not afraid to to do the unknown. They solve problems through action and through relationships as well. Um, yeah, these are the people that we usually follow and see what are they doing, right? So cardinal dominants, they're the leaders. They're showing us which path to go. We just follow their steps. These are the ones who go to the unknown wilderness. They're the first ones with some knives and, and cutting the wild bushes to find a path where to go. They're easily starting things. They have just difficulty with finishing them. They can misuse their energy. They can go all over the place, and then they burn out, as I mentioned. It's very similar, like lots of fire. They need to do one thing at a time. try to sit still, relax, and reflect on life before they go forward. These are the ones, that usually just go without thinking what are they doing, and they go like try and errors kind of a thing. Oh, this doesn't work, let's do this, instead of maybe strategizing and planning before doing. They're just kind of just doing it. They like to do it through experience. So slower physical disciplines can balance them out, and they need to pay attention to their inner world as much as outer world, what is happening within them. So try to slow down would be, and because they can think that they need to do everything first. They have this need, which sometimes it's not true. So slow down and think about it. People who are lacking cardinal, it's similar like lacking fire. They need somebody to push them, to support them, because they really have issues with initiating things. Excuse me. Um, Try to find a way to take action on their own, to be independent, to be more active, physically active, mentally active, everything, and engage with others as well. They can increase vitality by doing physical demanding activities, running or martial arts. Yeah, lack of cardinal just needs a push sometimes. Okay, fixed. So this is very similar to Earth. Energy is stable, dependable. They can be stubborn, and they're very resistant to change. I find very much. They like stability, and they don't like to change things. They like their routines. They like their habits. They're very trustworthy, and we can depend on them, as I mentioned. And their energy flows with determination and purpose. So, they're here to do this job. It doesn't matter how long it takes, they're here to do it. They're very steady, reliable, and they are middle of the season. So everything that cardinal signs start, fixed signs, which are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, they are kind of here to make sure that the ideas and whatever the cardinal started, that this goes through. Okay. Fixed dominance can be very fixed minded, very stubborn, um, doing things the same way, and they don't like change. They don't like, oh, look, but we have a new approved way to do things. No, I'm going to do it the same way. I don't want to learn or explore new things. This is a good thing. Those are those people who sometimes, I always feel that they're so in, they know things very well what they do, and they just don't want to change that, even if can be faster or better. No, this is the known way, because they really like to be uh, doing things and be around in an environment where everything is familiar. That gives them the sense of security. Sudden changes can lead to depression. They really don't like sudden changes. They care a lot about daily routine. As I mentioned, it gives them a sense of security and safety. So a little changes in the daily routines. I always have an example of, if you drink mint tea every day, try something else. Try chamomile, for example, or just change your tea. Or if you have your coffee with 2 milks, do 1 milk or without milk. Just little things that maybe, you know, or if you brush your teeth with your right hand, do it with left hand, just because it helps you then to make other life decisions easier, right? They need strong body therapies to unlock old physical and emotional patterns. Yes, the physical movement is very important. They need to find a way, uh, yeah, to do that for their stability. People who are lacking fixed is similar to lacking earth. They are very unstable. They're struggling with completing things they started. They need to follow through. They don't have any, they're very unreliable in many, many ways. They can be. They need physical exercise also that provides grounding, like hiking and running or being in nature, definitely. And they're sticking to a routine, I would say, for them. Just do a little thing and then stick to it every day. just to have this discipline, to get this thing ongoing. Yeah. Stick to little one thing. Immutable at the end, those are the change bringers. They're announcing the changes of the seasons. Those are Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius. Uh, these ones are more adaptable to change. They're actually bringing, so the change bringers as well. Um, yes, as I mentioned, they are announcing the end of the seasons. They can be very unstable, lots of ups and downs because they're changing their mind all the time. They're changing, things all the time, like, uh, but they're good for revision, for editing, for modifying things. They're very flexible, but because they're flexible, they can be scattered and undisciplined as well. Like I'm very mutable, and for example, my husband doesn't even um, he doesn't even care because for example, what are we having for lunch? He doesn't even ask anymore because he knows I'm going to change my mind 3 times, and if I say one thing in the morning, he's going to get something else at the end. So in that kind of sense, it can be very like that, right? Mutable dominance, yeah, very adaptable but unstable, changing their minds, quick, very quick. But that's why they're very sociable, and they make friends easily. They're good at small talk. So activities that create grounding, focus and discipline, like yoga or walking, running, martial arts are very good. And dancing as well, I feel. Yeah. Oh, that's from lack of mutability. So it's similar like lacking air, lack of vision, don't see things clearly. Yeah, like they can be lost in their ways, not finding the way to change things that if they're not working properly. So making little daily changes to avoid depression, absolutely. And they can become rigid in all aspects of life. So that's it can be hard, right? Because unfortunately, life is bringing us a lot of changes, and we need to find a way to run with them. Otherwise, changes are inevitable. So yeah, it can be very hard. And just doing some flow activities like singing, dancing, swimming, something that it's moving your body, or put yourself in a situation. Just do little changes, little changes. You know, choose this dish. Do pasta, white pasta, not red pasta, or whatever. Just a little changes. Uh, so I want to mention something else. The planets in the house. So we also have 12 houses around the zodiac. Each house represents one area of our life. And we have planets situated in all these houses. Some people have a lot of planets in one house. Some people have scattered planets all around in many houses. So I find that some planets in the houses can compensate for lack of some element. For example, okay, so fire houses are 1, 5, and 9. Earth houses are 2, 6, and 10. Air houses are 3, 7, and 11. And water houses are 4, 8, and 12. And if you, for example, lack water, but you have a lot of planets in the fourth or eighth or 12th house, you can kind of compensate a little bit. Okay. So this is like this is a topic for another workshop, but I just wanted to mention it here. Also, having people in your life that have dominant element that you are lacking can help you find balance. So you might find often people saying, opposites attract, and you find somebody that is totally opposite that attracts you. It's just because you are missing that part. So, water people can usually be attracted by fire just because it's something, that they're lacking. So think about when you calculate your element balance and think about people around you. Maybe you can see their charts and see how that goes, how that plays in your life. It's a very interesting exercise. So achieving balance is not about perfection. It's about harmonious integration of all the elements and modes for a better life being. So there's no perfect balance. We're gonna feel one day like this, other day like that. We're gonna have periods in time, longer periods in our life that we are gonna be more grounded and less grounded. It's just the way the life circle of life goes. But to be just aware and be conscious about, in our everyday life, when we feel that we are going in one direction, to find a way to balance that in a moment, I think that's very practical. It's often the consistent small steps that lead to significant achievements and positive change. So always, for all these elements and modes, if you have uh, any dominant or lack, so some of us are very balanced. So they, it's a good thing. But there's always, for everybody, they can do little steps to perfect themselves. That's my Virgo rising talking, but there's always a way to perfect yourself. So even if you feel that you're doing lots of things, um, still implement one new thing, do something new, just because it can, it can change your life for a long term that you don't even know at the moment. I found this quote online and I think it's beautiful. It's balance is not something you find, it's something you create. It's not prescription for all the same prescription. All of us are unique with our unique imprints, as my logo says. Our chart is our imprint. We're all different. We have all different charts. We can all create different reality for ourselves, and we can all do a better reality with small little things, for sure. Q&As for next time, and this is my contact information, and you can find me at Jasmina Brozovic Astrology at my website, YouTube, and Instagram. That's where you can find me. Thanks everybody for watching. If you have any questions, you're always more than welcome to contact me. I hope this was fun, educational, and fun. This is what I really like, and that you find something that you maybe learn something new as well. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was so wonderful, Jasmina. Um, we saved this time to ask questions, but I feel like I learned so much. I don't feel like I have any questions. I feel like you really covered any questions I would have asked. So I
Thank
just
you.
want to thank you for your time and what a comprehensive class this was. And we'd love to have you back anytime. And guys, please go follow Jasmina's work. And you can book a reading with these links or ask any questions. And Jasmina, just thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure. And I hope I'll come again with something new that I think about, which I probably will. Thank you very much. I think you're doing a great thing with having lots of astrologers talk about lots of topics. A beautiful
Yes,
platform. I'm really hats off to you. Thank you. Thank you for having this. It's very good. Thanks so much.
you're welcome. Everyone, have a great evening. And thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.